I just want to say first off, Buff, I always was a big fan of the old school, the handsome stranger gimmick. And I also I did, bro. I thought it just you fit it perfectly.
Believe it or not, it was kind of a joke for a long time, and then once years went by, then I started hearing other guys tell me that they really liked that handsome stranger gimmick, and I would laugh, and they go, no, I'm serious. That was a pretty good gimmick, and I go, oh my God, really? And so really people really did like that gimmick, but even though it was a little cheesy and Long Ranger mask and all that, it really did get over a little more than I thought it did.
I thought the name was great, the handsome stranger. You look like you were handsome under the mask. What did you think of that, Disco?
I thought the gimmick was great.
Right.
That's funny. The handsome stranger. Very unique. It's just very unique.
Steve Austin, Stone Cold, of course, said, all right, let's take one of the better-looking guys we've got in the company and let's put a freaking mask on him. That's perfect.
But
that makes a lot of sense. Let's put a mask on the good-looking guy. That's perfect.
But it wasn't a Rey Mysterio mask. You could still tell.
Right.
Guy
you can still tell.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But I thought it was a really good gimmick. I thought it was funny.
No, I mean, I didn't hear it at first. It was kind of jabs and jokes. And keep in mind, back then, we're just trying to fit in and keep a job. So it wasn't no big deal to me. It was just, it was what it was. But later on in life, even up till this interview even, people really started liking the handsome stranger gimmick, and I could tell in their voices that they really thought it was a pretty good gimmick, which kind of surprised me at first. And then, I thought it was pretty cool. That it was just part of my way to, NWO and wrestling and WCW and all that. So it was actually pretty good. It was actually very cool.
Plus, you also had a cool real name, Marcus Bagwell. You know what I'm saying? That I thought,
Yeah.
Now, how much heat did you have with the boys in the sense that either from ribs or in the ring, them actually getting rough with you? Because here you were, pretty boy, getting a push.
Everybody, and Disco hadn't made it there to WCW yet with me. I don't think he was still. We all started in North Georgia Wrestling, and Disco was just coming right behind me. So he wasn't quite there yet. So here I am in the locker room by myself, dude, as
a lot of older guys.
Bagwell. And I'm talking about Rick Rude, Nasty Boys, Macho Mans, Dusty Rhodes, Ivy, Spivey, Dan Spivey.
Steiner
all your badasses, the Dick Slaters, Steiner Brothers. Everybody wants to kill the pretty boy, Stan Hansen. Yes. But what they didn't know, like Disco knows, they didn't know that the biggest troublemaker in the room was the quiet kid over in the corner. Me.
Yeah.
They didn't know I'd been in jail more than all of them put together. That I had shot my father at 16 with a gun and tried to kill him. They didn't know none of these stories, so they thought, here's this young punk kid that got a chance at wrestling, so I had tons of heat. So I kept my mouth shut. I got ice dumped on me daily by Stone Cold, which he'll tell you. Every time I took a shower, he dumped ice on me. I came out of that shower every time, drying off, not saying a word, not selling it, like you're not supposed to do in this business, not sell it.
Right.
And I just came out every time, really pissed off as fuck. Right. But I just couldn't. I was trying to be nice and be, because I knew by selling it, they'd continue to do more and more of it.
Right.
So long story short, by me doing that and taking it, and then finally I knocked out a guy in Jacksonville, Florida.
Right.
And a bunch of the big name guys saw me knock him out.
Right.
And it kind of blew their minds.
Right.
Wait a minute. Here's a pretty boy that's a little bit of a badass. So when they found out the pretty boy was a little bit of a badass, and then they found out that the pretty boy shot his father
Right.
I became not the pretty boy. I became kind of the cool guy, and I fit in, and everybody started accepting me then. But if it was up till then, dude, it was rough. I mean, when I would lock up with Rick Rude, it was just like locking up with a man, which he was a man, you know, and like wondering if he was going to take my head off or not, you know.
Right.
Or locking up with Dick Slater, or whether he was just going to kick your teeth out or not, you know. So
yeah, but plus too. Let me tell you something too, Mark. Is when I like, you know, to show how the culture of like the locker room has changed, you know, and like my first day of work at Center Stage, I got hired, and my first day was to come to Center Stage, and they were doing TV or whatever, and actually maybe the night that I had the tryout, right? Bro, it was the night I walked in, literally like 2 minutes after Orndorff beat the shit out of Vader. And I was
I was there. I remember. That was great.
Okay, and here's the thing, you know, like, but bro, I'm like you. You know, I'm from the mid streets of Marietta, Georgia. You know, grew up in the suburbs. You know, like all these guys, they're like legit tough guys. You know, they've been to jail.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're men's men.
Dick Slater, your Dick Slaters, your Spivies, your.
And I walked in, and I'm like, "Fuck, these guys could have like. I think I'm not going to like me because I went to private school and like try to beat me up here." I go, "What are these guys doing here?"
Right?
Like, they're kicking the shit out of each other in the locker room, and I'm going like, "Fuck."
You went through the exact same thing I went through, exactly, and it just took our charisma of knowledge to get over with the boys, and we did, and it worked. And then there started being more younger guys come in, which helped me and you out. But we were the first couple of young guys that didn't have maroon tights and maroon boots, you know. And we came in trying to, you know, a different stage. You know, I had a goatee and the earring, which back in the old days that was a bad guy. You know, all of a sudden that's a good guy now. You know, in the wrestling world, so. We had to earn our spots, and it was just really crazy. But
I'll tell you, I've told people over the years that I used to love driving with you because you're one of the top storytellers in the business. Like the way, and people are listening to this, bro. The way you tell a story is just fantastic. And I always told people like people that don't know you and like have heard about you and like you know, there was always a perception, Bagwell's cocky, he's, and like you and Lex were kind of like, you know, but you had always told me, look, I'm an A1 personality. And like, if you accept that and realize that, it's like everything's cool. It's like I'm entertained by Mark Bagwell. I know he's an A1 personality. You had these the funny little quirky things that you used to do. I remember we sit there in the hotel room, and you and Lex, we'd have the beer and everything, and you and Lex would be standing by the refrigerator, and the freezer door would be open. I mean, like, what are you guys doing? And it was like kind of like the life of the A1 personality. It's like we're cooling off before we go out. This is how we do it. You guys were like stand next to the freezer. Remember that?
Oh, dude, I remember like can you imagine me and Lex spraying Neutrogena on each other and standing in front of those vents in front of the air conditioned units? I mean, it was a shoot, dude. It was a shoot deal. And I think once everybody realized it was a shoot, then it wasn't cocky anymore. It was really how we were.
Right. But it was fun. But it's funny. You know, it's like it like rubs certain people the wrong way. But like guys like me and Konnan were just always entertained by it. I remember one time when we were in Baltimore that night that we went out, we got in the fight in the streets. Before we went out that night, I remember you said, "Hey, Disco, come to my room." Okay, I go to your room, and you had your outfit that you were going to wear that night laid out on the bed, and you're explaining to me. You're sitting there explaining to me, "All right, this is what we do. I get the outfit out, and I envision myself wearing it." You know, like you're explaining to me like how the A1 personality works, what we do. This is how we do things, everything. Bro, I thought shit like that was so funny, man.
Oh, that's that. And me and Lex, honest to God, would not tell each other what shirt we were going to bring on the road, and we would surprise each other once we got to the hotel room before we went out on who had the coolest shirt. I mean that's the kind of
bro. Let me tell you one thing,
bro.
Marcus, Lex had, which a lot of people never ever saw on TV. Maybe on a shoot interview or something it came out, but he had the driest wit. He would just bury you and not even bust a smile. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, listen to me. A real quick story about Lex, and this says it all. If you really listen to this story, and I saw this with my own eyes, this is not a made-up story.
Well, and before you continue, remember, I drove with him for 2 years, so I know him exactly how he is.
Exactly. You know all about the dry, and he don't give a shit, and it is what it is.
Right.
I'm waiting on the total package. Not Buff. Marcus Alexander Bagwell's waiting to work out with the total package Lex Luger at his gym.
Right.
He's stretching his hamstrings behind the counter, and we're doing chest.
Right.
So why is he even stretching his hamstrings? Nobody knows. I'm going, Lex, come on, man, let's go. Let's do this. Let's do chest. All of a sudden, a guy that I'll think of his name in a minute, out of nowhere, Mark Wallace trained him, and as soon as I said his name, Disco would know him instantly. But he goes, "Hey, Lex." Like that to Lex, and the whole gym stopped. And Lex was stretching his leg, and Lex looks behind himself. Right. And he looks back at the guy, and he goes, "Are you talking to me?" Now, keep in mind, this is a guy that's paying to work out at his gym. He's paying a membership to train at Lex Luger's gym. Right. And he goes, "Are you talking to me?" And the guy goes, yeah. And he goes, "My friends call me Lex, and you're not my friend." And I wanted to get underneath the couch that was sitting in the lobby there at Main Event. I was so embarrassed. Right. But that's Lex, dude. That's just the way he was. And then he walking out 290 pounds.
He lived the gimmick. He lived the gimmick.
When they gave him that name in WWE, the Narcissist, I was like, wow, a more appropriate name for a more appropriate guy could not have been more befitting. You know what I'm saying?
Here's another story. We're in Orlando, Florida. We're walking. It was me, you, Riggs, Lex, and maybe Alex. Right? We're walking down the side of down the block. Okay, to go to a club. Yes. Some kids on the other side of the street are like, "Oh my God, hey, it's Lex, it's Lex, it's the WCW guys." A kid runs across the street. We're walking. The kid's walking beside us now. Walking right next to Lex and says, "Hey, you're Lex Luger." Lex looks at the kid for literally probably 1 second, keeps walking straight, walking in line, does not even acknowledge the guy. Right? And the kid's walking along with us here. Okay? Finally, the kid just kind of tails off and just goes back across the street. And Lex looks at us and goes, "How am I supposed to respond to that?" I'm like, "I don't know, man." He goes, "He didn't ask me a question. He just acknowledged that I'm Lex Luger." He goes, "What did he want me to say?"
So what are you doing now?
What I'm doing now is since everything I did before, I'm staying busy. I mean, like this last month, I was in 12 cities this last month.
But are you wrestling, or are you doing autograph signings, or are you doing appearances, or a little bit of both? Or
all and above. I mean, from birthday parties to movies to voiceovers to I took a voice lesson class that I wanted to go through because I think my voice it's always, since I was a kid, I've always heard something about my voice. Right. Girls thought my voice was sexy. Guys thought it was weird. Yeah. So we tapped into that industry. So really, I did a movie with John Schneider. I did an episode with Kevin Nash on a show called Living a Dream. I did a movie for John Schneider called Four to Go. So really, just whoever calls and does whatever, if it makes sense, I go do it.
All right. So let me ask you one last thing. Anywhere where people can find you, send you questions, book you for appearances or whatever, give me your social media, all that information, please, or whatever you want to plug.
Yes, my social media is Marcus Buff Bagwell. Is Facebook and Instagram. And on Twitter, it's Mark Buff Bagwell because they won't let that many letters go in there. So Marcus Buff Bagwell, pretty much you can find me anywhere. But on Twitter, it's Mark Buff Bagwell.
All right, Marcus, I want to thank you very much for being on Keeping It 100. Boom.